Hi, it's Trisha Johnston, residential realtor with Ladder & Bloom with your real estate tip of the week. If you bought or sold a house or any real estate in 2020, it's important that you provide a copy of your closing disclosure or settlement statement to your tax preparer. Some of your closing costs may be deductible, as well as mortgage interest and property taxes. If you can't find a copy of your closing documents, your realtor or closing company can easily provide those for you. If you didn't buy or sell any real estate in 2020, you still want to let your tax person know about any mortgage interest, property taxes, and of course, any investment property income and expenses that you had. There are so many tax benefits in owning real estate, so definitely speak with your tax advisor to make sure you're taking advantage of all the benefits that you're entitled to. If you'd like to buy or sell any real estate during 2021, give me a call and I'll be happy to help. I'm Trisha Johnston with Ladder & Bloom, and I'll be back here next week with another real estate tip for you.
Do you need cash? Do you want to consolidate debt? Premier Credit can help. They provide quick and confidential loans for any reason. Their service is same day, and most loans are approved within minutes. You can apply in person or by the phone. Their experienced and knowledgeable loan professionals will leave you feeling confident that your loan is being properly handled in a secure manner. Premier Credit can be reached at 225-667-8100, or you can email WeSayYes@premiercredit.com, or stop by and spin the wheel at 139 Del Norte Avenue in Denham Springs. They're open Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and are a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. What is the largest hurdle to overcome when hiring good people for small business owners? If you said health insurance coverage, you're correct. The sad fact is most local small businesses struggle to compete with regard to the benefits that public companies can offer. Health insurance is also the number one reason most people never take the chance on owning their own business. They just can't give up the coverage that they currently get from their job that they have now. Sound familiar? If you're a small business owner, then you're going to want to watch this episode of Local Leaders, the podcast, in its entirety. Sean Aucoin of Arthur J. Gallagher will be discussing all of this and a whole bunch more. So with that, welcome to Local Leaders.
Jim, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So health insurance in particular has been a hot topic for a little while now. It's really come to the forefront with Obamacare. Obviously, that brought health insurance to a whole new level as far as confusion is concerned, especially. Now, you work for Arthur J. Gallagher. So first, I want to get a little background on your company and what they offer in the world of health insurance specifically.
Okay. Arthur J. Gallagher started off as a P&C company, a property and casualty company. Mm-hmm. And then they noticed that there was a need for specialties in the human resources or employee benefits side too. So they got into that. They offer a whole slew of products for a business owner. So they can do your property and casualty. They can handle your workers' comp, your health insurance, your dental, your vision, all your voluntary products is the things that I specialize in. And then when you get large enough, they can also take on things like your 401k and things like that. So it's pretty much a
whole gamut.
It is.
You know,
they really do help everybody.
Run the gamut in insurance, and you have a good bit of experience in the health insurance industry. How long have you been, in that industry?
I've been in the industry for 22, 23 years. After a while, You quit counting.
I hear you. And what kind of led you into health insurance? How did you get into that?
You know what happened? I I graduated high school and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I thought, well, I'll join the military.
Yeah.
So I joined the Army. I spent 5 years in that. Went overseas to Europe. I spent 3 years in Germany and got out. Came back here, stationed at Fort Polk, and got out when I was a diesel mechanic. And I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And my ex-wife was actually she worked for an insurance carrier. And she said, well, why don't you become a broker? And I was like, because I don't like brokers.
That's a good a reason as any.
And lawyers and used car salesmen. So,
Right.
She said, but you don't have to be that way, And I got hooked up in the beginning with some people that were pretty transparent about the industry and what they do, and they were willing to share the information with everybody instead of keeping it close to their vest. And I like that. So I decided, well, I'll be an honest insurance person. It'll be the first one I've ever met.
There you go. And needed, in that industry. And there's some honest ones and there's some you run across and you're like, wow, but
it's just like any other profession.
Any
really.
other profession, paint salesman not excluded. There's no doubt about that. Probably some podcasters. So a lot has changed, I would imagine, for you in the over 20 years that you've been doing this. I bet you've seen a lot change.
I have. When I first got in the business, the HMOs were first coming out, and they were super cheap, and nobody understood you could only go to one doctor, or you had to go to this group of doctors, and then the industry kind of caught up with that, and nobody wanted to be captive anymore.
Right.
They felt like they weren't getting good service because they could only go to the Baton Rouge General.
Yeah.
And then we went through health savings accounts came out.
Yeah.
And large deductible health plans and Obamacare, and that was that was a nightmare in and of itself.
I can imagine. I mean, that there's a lot about Obamacare that people still don't understand, and we're many, many years beyond the introduction of it. And you being in, you're kind of in the footprint of all of that. You're in the trenches with it, and so the study that I would imagine you folks need to do to keep up with laws that change a lot. I mean,
they do.
It seems like they, every day there's something they're changing about healthcare or adding to things like that.
Well, one of the benefits of being with Arthur J. Gallagher is that we have a compliance team that's on staff. I don't have to leave my office, if you will, to get a compliance question answered or, hire an outside lawyer.
Right.
Or an E&O attorney. Those are all on staff with us. It's a phone call away. I can shoot them an inter-office text message and typically have the answer within an hour.
Right. That's huge.
So I don't have to do it all by myself. Whereas before, independent agents, I was still a broker. I could sell several different carriers, but I had to go find that information.
Yeah.
And now it's right there at my fingertips.
Right there at your fingertips. Tiffany C-Card with HomeKey Mortgage combines the experience and knowledge you need to make your mortgage loan a smooth, stress-free process. Reach out to Tiffany for more information on the vast mortgage programs available in the Livingston, Parish area. Tiffany C-Card of HomeKey Mortgage, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. And I want to get into that a little bit, with regard to health insurance and kind of dive into the different benefits that you get out of health insurance plans, things like that. Now, health insurance is a huge component for small business, especially because it's my personal belief that it's an attractor of talent, right? Talented employees.
Oh, yeah.
Benefits with regard to your health insurance is a huge attractor, but it's also a huge detractor for someone that may be working for a corporation but wants to start their own business. Guess what? They never started, Sean. Well, they can't lose the benefits.
You don't believe this. I had a guy call me this morning, 7:30 this morning, somebody that you and I both know. He does I don't know the best. He does a bunch of different things. Chris called me, and he said, look, I'm thinking about hiring somebody. This guy's really good, and I need the help but I don't know. I got to get him away from his current employer who offers health, dental, and vision, and I don't. What do we do? How do I go about that? How much is it going to cost? Where do we start? So, for small business owners, it's definitely obstacle number one.
Huge.
Yeah.
And it's not something that that they necessarily even want for themselves. I mean, sure, they want it, but it is more to attract outside talent,
Quality talent. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard when you have great benefits somewhere. You could hate your job, totally hate it. But then when you think about the fact that I've got to leave, I don't have health insurance, I've got 2 kids, or I do have health insurance and I have 2 kids and all these sorts of things, and I want to start my own business, but I will lose all of that, or I'll have to go in the pool of the the Obamacare situation. It's not too appealing. So rather than do that, a lot of people just are stuck in jobs that they hate, or that they don't wake up every day wanting to go to, and that's where you come in, right? So the good thing about Gallagher in particular and Sean in particular is the fact that you don't have to go through that alone. He's a very very experienced person when it comes to health insurance. And the great thing is they are a broker. They're not, so Sean is almost like your own personal little sales rep for that company that can come out and he can quote you and he can do all these great things. To where you don't have to sit there and do 8 hours of research on the internet. Now, let me ask you this. What would you say the biggest misconception is to small business you have worked with and met with? Do they assume you have to be a certain size, for example, to qualify to even get health coverage?
They do. I get a lot of people that ask me, do I have to have 10 or more employees? No, you can have 2 employees. All the way down to 2, and you can have another misconception is that if I have 5 employees, they all have to be on the same plan. They don't.
Yeah.
So even if you have a 5-man group, you may want a rich plan for the 2 owners, and the teenage guys that you have working for you need insurance, but they don't need a rich insurance policy.
Right.
So you can put 2 plans in there and still help everybody out and save the company money.
Yeah. So the point is there's options, and you brought up money, and that's a good point, because a lot of small business owners, and even mid-sized businesses, they never go beyond the thought of health insurance because the assumption is the cost. There's no way we're going to be able to afford this. I'm not even going to dive into it. And of course, my advice would be, and why we're doing this show today is you don't make that assumption, because I'm sure, you being the expert, that there's so many options.
There are, and there's so many different options and dynamics that go into those options. If I sit down with you, I can usually cover that and tell you everything in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Without over educating you.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's several different options, and you can have a high deductible health plan, and then purchase a hospital plan, a voluntary plan to meet that deductible.
Sure. Yeah.
Problem solved.
And you can give them all those particular options. And like you say, you're not going to sit there and take up 4 hours of their time and do a PowerPoint presentation that they fall asleep in and all those sorts of things. You're going to go in there, respect their time, and basically just say, hey, here's what we do, here's what we can offer you, and maybe get a good grasp of their needs and what they're looking for out of an insurance company, I would imagine.
Jim, we're swamped with these podcasts, and I'm in the mood for some local barbecue for lunch.
Barbecue? Casey, the problem with barbecue is the speed. That would take forever.
Not at Buddy's Barbecue. With the drive-through line, they can get us fed fast, and that sauce, yum.
It is right in the heart of Denham Springs. Do they have specials?
Yes, they have plate lunch specials every day, Jim. And I bet you didn't know they offer some of the best catfish plates you've ever tasted on Fridays. And on Saturdays, they have smoked ribeyes. They are as flavorful as you can find anywhere.
Okay, I'm hungry. What's the number? I'll call it in.
No, just go online and place your order. By the time you're finished, I can head that way.
That is convenient. and really smart.
Yep, just like me.
A local business, and you know what I always say.
Oh, yes. Jim Chapman loves local.
Correct. And that makes me smart.
Oh, please. If you're in the mood for barbecue, go see Buddy's Barbecue at 105 Florida Avenue Southeast, right in the heart of Denham Springs. They're a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast.
Of course.
Now, how often, in your opinion, should small businesses review their, let me give you a hypothetical here. You've got a business and they have health insurance coverage.
Okay.
Maybe they have health insurance coverage that they're not dissatisfied with, but how often should they review that coverage and maybe sit down with someone else and just kind of make sure that all their bases are covered and that they're getting the best deal they can on insurance?
Typically, you just want to do it once a year unless you've had dramatic increase or decrease in population in the company. So if I have 30 employees now,
yeah,
and I take on a huge job and I need to double in size, now it might be beneficial for you to go from a small group to what's called a large group, which is anything over 50. Sometimes those rates may be a little bit cheaper, and it also depends on the demographics of the group. So if I'm hiring 30 extra young guys as opposed to childbearing women, they're going to charge them more.
Yeah.
So, but typically on small groups, once a year is enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And probably the recommended, for something like that. But you definitely probably don't want to go into a situation where you've gone years and years and not reviewed it.
No.
You've just kind of renewed every year. And
look, I can't tell you how many times I've walked into somebody's office, and I just did this like a month ago. I walked into the guy's office to meet with him for the first time, and he tells me he's had the same insurance agent for 12 years or 20 years, however long it was. And the guy didn't tell him that there were different options for his health plan. He had no idea what a level funded plan was and how much money it could save him. It could save him upwards of 150 employees, $150 per employee a month.
That's huge.
And he's never heard of it.
Yeah.
Look, agents are no different than anybody else, and they get complacent. The beauty of having someone like me who has someone like Arthur J. Gallagher behind him is we're constantly having to take classes and courses on compliance and everything else. This guy had gone from 12 employees to 22. He crossed a very important threshold,
sure,
which was 20 employees, because now his business was subject to the laws of COBRA.
Yeah,
which means he had to offer COBRA. Before that, if he was 19 or below, he only had to offer state continuation. It's completely different.
Now, explain to us what COBRA is.
Let's see. COBRA essentially means that if you were let go or terminated, you can take your benefits with you. Okay?
For a certain period of time.
For 18 months.
Okay.
For 18 months. If you retire, it's 36 months. If you're the spouse of someone, a retired person, or that employee dies, then typically they can stay on for 36 months. But in general, it's 18 months. But there's obligations by the employer that have to be followed through. You have to be given them an initial COBRA notice. You have to have a COBRA notice sent out to Jim when Jim leaves or if Jim gets terminated, letting him know these are your options and this is how much it costs.
Yeah.
One of the biggest misnomers about COBRA is that it's so expensive. COBRA is the actual cost of the insurance.
Yeah.
The thing that makes it so expensive is that your employer is no longer paying half of your premium.
Right.
So you're on the hook for the total cost of the premium, and typically plus 2%. So 2% is what the COBRA administration company charges to handle the COBRA.
I got you. And you brought up another question I had, which was the employer/employee responsibility on health coverage. So BJ Pawn and Gun in Denham Springs wants to buy your unwanted gold jewelry, gold coins, and gold bullion. With 30 years of experience operating in the Livingston Parish area, BJ Pawn wants to be your source when selling your gold. So stop by BJ Pawn today for a no-obligation offer. BJ Pawn, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. Some of those that don't own companies that may be listening to this may not realize that it's kind of a shared responsibility. Obviously, when you have health insurance and you're an employee, that typically it'll get deducted out of your check a certain amount, but your employer is also paying for that insurance. What is typical as far as the split there, or is there a typical?
Most of your small groups, there's a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
So they're going to pay for half of the employee-only cost. Some pay for 100% of the employee and none of the family.
Gotcha.
But typically it's 50% of the employee-only cost.
Gotcha. And so, and this is probably, I'll give you an example here of something that happened shortly after Obamacare really ramped up. And that was a lot of companies started looking at their employees' spouses' ability to get health insurance coverage through their employer. So obviously, we're in 2021 now, and it's not like it was in 1950 where there was the husband was going to work, the wife was staying home raising kids. I mean, 99% of people out there, they're dual employed households.
Yep, dual income.
Yes. So in that instance, employers were shouldering a lot of burden with regard to Obamacare. And so they started looking at this and they said, wait a minute, if you're married and your wife can get insurance through their employer or your husband, then they need to kind of get off your policy and they need to get on their own. And I would say most companies started doing this. Now, it had a little backlash because some people had the attitude of, wait a minute, you can't tell me I can't insure my wife on my health cover. Well, absolutely you can. And it happened pretty much everywhere, especially with these bigger companies, to where the employer basically was getting rid of some of that burden. So I say all that to say this: when you look at it at the other side of the employer, that's less money they're now having to shell out for insurance, because that's one less person they're having to pay for in a family plan.
And a lot of times with the reason why they did it. So if they're going to pay 100% of the employee cost and none of the family, or 50% of the employee cost and none of the family, it didn't really affect them. Here's where it got them though.
Yeah.
Is the claims.
Right.
So
your health insurance will adjust based off of the claims. So if you have a company and most of your guys or gals are unhealthy, for example, and you have an absorbent amount of claims, pick a claim, but an absorbent amount, will that affect your insurance when you go to renew?
It will, but not on small groups.
Got you.
Small groups are in their own little bubble.
And when you say small groups, what do you?
Under 50.
Under 50.
Under 50.
Okay.
So if you have a group that's over 50 or over 100, the claims are gonna make a huge difference. They have what's called PVC, which is premium versus claims, and that's what they use to gauge, or one of the things they use to gauge your renewal off of.
Yes.
So if you're running at 87%, that means that they're paying out 87 cents on every dollar. Okay. So you'll probably get a 20% increase on that, and we'll fight for it.
Which is huge. Yeah,
it's huge. I've had a group that ran 118, 119 for like 4 years in a row. So every year they got like a 45% increase.
Wow.
Yeah. You got 160 employees with a 45% increase.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah. Well, and we put a wellness plan in place for them so that we could go back to the carrier and say, look, they're doing things. We're trying. And as time would have it, some of those people moved on.
Yeah.
So that we didn't have as much exposure. And this year we were able to give them a 0% increase.
Wow, that's fantastic.
In today's world, for 160 employees to get
a 0.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But again, that's
amazing.
And part of that is putting in a health and wellness plan, and part of that is having the game Gallagher behind you.
Yeah, I agree. And, you bring up another good point, and something I wanted to mention, which is health regimens that companies are now instituting. And a lot of that is to control the rising cost of health coverage in their company. The simple fact of the matter is, if, your employer is paying for, partially your health insurance, and you have an unhealthy staff of 25, 30 people, they're probably going to see a little hike there, you know? So the issue becomes, if we can get these people healthier, we can kind of control those percentages and keep them at a reasonable increase, or even no increase in some cases. I know a lot of companies now pay for their employees to belong to health clubs. You know, that's a benefit. Or they will have little events that they host that are health related, like maybe a contest in their company for, you know, running a 5K or something like that, to try to encourage a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's not only good because you want your employees to be healthy just from a humanitarian standpoint, but guess what else it does? Saves you some money maybe on that health insurance.
Gallagher has an excellent health and wellness plan for us, and it's broken down into 4 quarters, and we have to get 100 points every quarter to keep your rates below, to get you the best rate.
Yeah.
And if you don't get the 100 points, then your rate goes from $82 a paycheck to maybe $100 a paycheck.
Yeah.
You know, and part of that is one of the ways you can get points is I get 20 points by going to the dentist. I get 20 points by going get my eyes checked, by going have my health and wellness screening, by going to the gym every day. A lot of this stuff can be self-reported.
Sure.
Some people like to play softball. They like to do your 5Ks and things like that. And you can self-report some of that stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah. And it benefits both parties. I mean, a healthy lifestyle not only benefits the person that is undergoing that lifestyle, but also the employer from a monetary standpoint, which in turn benefits the entire company. You know, everybody's happier when you have less cost, and that's always a good thing. William Waldrop of TWFG Insurance in Denham Springs can service all of your insurance needs. Offering auto, life, health, and commercial insurance, William Waldrop of TWFG Insurance is a proud supporter of Local Leaders, the podcast. Now, Gallagher is a broker. Y'all are not a direct company like you working directly for Blue Cross, for example.
Correct. We are we're considered insurance agents, but we're really insurance brokers. So an agent is going to be a State Farm agent. They can only sell State Farm products, right?
Right.
Whereas we're brokers, so we can sell Humana, Blue Cross, United, Cigna, all of those, depending on whichever one is best fit for your company. Yeah,
and you can probably go through there and really work with the employer to find the best plan for their position in their case that they need in their company. Oh, yeah. What would be best for them? Shop their plans, find because pricing is always a big deal.
We do that annually for every single one of our clients.
Excellent. Now, for those of you out there that may not, the first thing you would think is, well, a broker is going to be more expensive than an agent because, they got to make money, right? Well, you'd be wrong if you thought that. Actually, there is no cost difference between working with a direct agent and working with a Gallagher and a Sean Aucoin. The cost is handled by the insurance companies that you broker for. They are not passed on to the, like the company that you end up selling insurance to. So Correct. There is no cost difference, but there's a huge advantage. I was thinking about this when I was researching for this podcast, and the huge advantage is you get actually Sean as, he's your personal guy for health insurance coverage. And he's the throat that you choke when you're struggling to understand something, or the guy you pat on the back when he saved you a ton of money over what you were paying and those sorts of things. And there's something to be said for that, right? We all hate getting on the phone and talking to an operator.
Well, that's the beauty of it. When you go through a broker, I am the throat to choke, and all of my clients have my cell phone number. I'll give you an example. I had somebody, I don't know, it was 2 days ago, who was at the hospital. He'd never used his insurance card before. He tried to use his insurance card at the hospital, and the name on the insurance card had an extra letter in it from his ID. The hospital wouldn't take it. He's at the hospital. What do I do?
Yeah.
I'm not going to call the 1-800 number because nothing's going to happen. So he called me. I got in touch with his internal account executive in my office, and she got through to the concierge. One of the benefits of being with Gallagher is we have so much business. We have people, we have throats to choke inside the carriers.
Right.
So we have concierge service. We called the concierge service. They changed it in real time and called the hospital back and had them reprocess it. And they took him while he was still there.
Yeah, and that's, trust me when I tell you, that's never going to happen when you go directly through an agent. It's just number one, Sean has a personal relationship with you at that point. So if I'm getting health insurance through Sean kind of knows me. I mean, he's gonna. It's just human nature to really really take care of people and you do business with, and so you don't have that through a telephone line. And I'll give you an odd situation that happened to me. I went on a cruise to Alaska, and beautiful cruise.
Lucky you.
Lucky me. It was unbelievable. I recommend it to anybody. But on that cruise, I had an outbreak of gout in the middle of the cruise. And for people that aren't familiar with gout, I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but it hurts. It hurts. And in the middle of a cruise is something you don't want. So no problem. I'm insured, right? So I go to they actually have on a cruise ship, they have a hospital like you would see Our Lady of the Lake. I mean, this thing it's an entire floor that is a hospital. You would never think this. So I go to this place and, I can barely walk and I sit down and they have everything you need to fix you up. Right. And I'm no problem. I got insurance and I'm pulling out and they say, no insurance. And I said, what? And they said, yeah, you got to pay out of pocket. Because I'm in international waters. I'm not in the United States anymore. And for whatever reason, I had to pay out of pocket. Thankfully I had the money to pay out of pocket, but, and it was to the tune of about $3,000 right there. And I mean, they swipe it with you right there. They want to make sure they get their money, but I got fixed up, enjoyed the rest of my cruise, got home, and then I had to go through the reimbursement process, which was absolutely no fun. At the end of the day, I got reimbursed. Now I say all that to say this, had I had a Sean, I would have called Sean from the cruise ship and said, okay, is this legit? And he would have said, yeah, unfortunately, Jim, it is. But when you get back, I'll make sure that I handle all that for you. And I probably would have went back and not had to spend, 4 days on the telephone explaining to these people that, here's my information and fighting with them over whether I even had the right to get reimbursed. And eventually I did get reimbursed and it turned out okay. But I sure wish I would have had a broker at that point that I could have dealt with that could have took care of that for me.
We do that for people all the time. You'd be surprised how many people go to the doctor, and when you go to, let's say, have a procedure done that you're going to have, you go into the hospital and then you get a bill from the anesthesiologist, and then you get a bill from the hospital. Well, for whatever reason, sometimes one of them will not run it through the insurance carrier and they bill you directly.
Yeah.
We'll say it's human error. But if you get a $2,300 bill and you have a $1,500 deductible, you're confused.
Yeah.
And some people don't know, and they'll just pay that and think, and it's hasn't been run through. So then they get a $1,500 bill from the hospital because that's been run through.
Yeah.
So we make sure and educate people on things like that and let them know, man, look, don't pay anything until it's run through the insurance carrier. If you're not sure, send me the bill.
Yeah.
We'll call on your behalf.
Well, that's right, and you're the experts on that. I'm fortunate. I'm married to someone who's in the medical field and loves to argue with insurance companies. So
you're blessed.
I can tell, very blessed, and I can tell you that when I get any medical bill that comes in at my house, I hand it to her, and my first question is this legit? Her answer almost 100% of the time is no. I need to call them. They coded it wrong. And the next thing I know, she comes back and, has saved us 80%. I'm like, how did you do that? Well, they just did this wrong. But guess what, Sean? Most people don't know that. Most people are just going to pay whatever it says is due or try to set up a payment plan with these people. Another thing that y'all can do, like you say, you can send the bill to you. You'll look it over, maybe 100% legit. Or maybe it might not. I mean, people make mistakes. They code things wrong, or they something's covered they didn't realize was covered. Those things happen. And that's why it's so important to have someone local that you can contact that can get you taken care of. Casey, have you called the plumber about the sink in the break room?
Yep, they came this morning. I can't believe you missed them.
What was their name again?
Giot's Plumbing.
Wow, that was quick, and they did a great job.
They did. And when you need plumbing services of any type, give Giot's Plumbing a call. With over 50 years combined plumbing experience, the team at Giot's Plumbing can handle all of your plumbing needs. So whether it's residential, commercial, new construction, or reconstruction, give Giot's Plumbing a call at 907-6282 and get scheduled fast.
Giot's Plumbing, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. Now, let me ask you what we discussed that you could go down to as little as 2 employees, but what size businesses do you typically manage? Is it anywhere from 2 employees to 200 or 2 to 100? What would like a Sean be looking for in that realm?
I like the 2-man groups.
Yeah,
I have I have several of those, and I think my largest group right now is probably around 185.
Wow, it's a big group.
Yeah, and but your sweet spot's probably going to be around 25. And the only reason why I say that is because you don't have too many employees. You can still have a personal, hand and walking them down the aisle of their benefits package.
Yeah.
And when you get over 50, it goes into large group, and it's kind of a different animal.
Yeah.
So your 50 and below are a lot. Most of the ones that we deal with.
Gotcha. And those are good those are good accounts that you manage and you're used to. And
I do. And one of the services that I provide that most insurance agents don't is I'll come out to your business and I'll enroll all your new hires for you.
Yeah,
So
that's huge.
Instead of having your HR person or you doing it.
Yeah.
You
don't want me doing it.
Yeah. You can say, look, man, I hired Bill in January. He'll be eligible in April 1st,
Right.
So when can you come see him? I'll go out there and I'll explain the benefits to him and tell him how much everything's going to cost and answer his questions.
Now, you must charge a boatload for that, huh? To go out there and quote people and all that? I mean, that's good. You got to.
I don't charge anything.
Nothing. Zero.
I don't. And the reason why I do it is because we also have voluntary products that we put in place, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a deductible of $2,000, I don't have $2,000 in my pocket to pay for this deductible.
Right.
Well, if you purchase a hospital plan or an accident policy, they'll pay you up to $2,000 or even more, $3,000. And if you become hospitalized, and if you have an accident, people buy accident plans that will pay you directly. They put money in your pocket if your kid falls down and breaks his finger, or breaks his arm like mine did playing baseball. But I go out there, part of the benefit, what do I get out of it is that I get to be in front of your employees every month. They see me. They know me. That's the insurance guy.
Insurance guy.
Yeah. So they come up to me. They ask me questions.
Yeah.
They don't typically, they're not going to take time off of work to go bother the business owner. They see me there. They can just come over there and say, hey, man, I got a quick question. Bam, answered.
Yeah, interesting. Now, do you participate like if and most of the times this would be larger companies, but they have health fairs and things like that where they have days where agents such as yourself would go and you'd sit down and you would just kind of you'd be in a break room and people would come in on their lunch break and just ask you questions about health coverage and things like that.
That's why I go out there every month.
Yeah.
And they know, so your HR department knows when Sean's coming.
Yeah.
I'm coming the first Wednesday every month at 9:00 and 1:00 or whatever the time is. But I am out there actively at my groups that have health and wellness fairs because it has to do with insurance. Yeah. And inevitably somebody there is going to have a question.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And you're just there just so that the employees that employer is paying to do other things can do other things. Let you focus on the healthcare side. The controller don't need to worry about it. The controller goes to you and you can, you're taking a lot off their shoulders. These controllers, they deal with enough, man.
Look, man, if you got 25, 50 employees, we'll take about 70% of the workload off of you because we're going to maintain a census. We're always going to know who's on it. We're going to give you an employee benefits guide with all the benefits in it, and I'm going to explain it to your employees. And we're going to make sure that they get enrolled and that they have their ID cards. And if somebody doesn't have their ID card, what do?
What do they do?
They call Sean.
They call Sean.
And
that's right.
We get them another order.
Yes.
Another order. And a lot of times it's really something simple like, dude, Jim had a baby. Now his family's too big for this house. He bought a new house. He forgot to update his address. That's why he didn't get his new card.
Sure.
It's no big deal. But you don't want to call it 1-800 number for that.
No. You talk about red tape. You're right. And so let me give you a hypothetical here. Let's say I'm a company and I've got 25 guys, working for me in my company, or 10 for that matter. And I'm watching this and I'm like, you know what? I really need to look into getting some health coverage, because I have had several people apply that I wanted to hire, but their question was, do you have health benefits? And I did not. For those folks, what would it take for them to get you to give them more information, kind of see what they're looking for, and quote them? What is that? Is it as simple as a phone call to Sean?
Actually, it is as simple as a phone call to me. What we'll do is I'll get their email address and we'll email them a census. Yeah. And the census tells us basic information like name, date of birth, male or female.
Yeah.
And that's about it. And as much of the information you can get on their spouses and children if possible. So if you got 20 guys there, you can hand it all out with their paycheck. Say, look, this is what we're looking at doing. Fill this out. Send it back to me. Next time, y'all, in 2 weeks, we'll have a quote for you.
Wow. Is that easy?
It really is. And it's more or less sitting down with the business owner and asking him, what kind of plan do you want to offer? Do you want to offer one plan or two plans? Because they can offer two plans.
Yeah.
You can have a rich plan for the management, and then the other guys can have a high deductible health plan.
Yeah.
And a lot of business owners don't know that they think that's only something that's special for big companies.
Yeah.
And it's not. You can have 2 or 3 different health plans if you have a small group.
Or they might just assume that, hey, if we commit to one plan, we can't kind of change it for different people. It has to stay the same. And Sean's here to tell you that's not accurate.
That's true.
You can there's all kinds of things that he can do. And I'm sure you've been innovative in your day as far as, the things that you can do to make coverage work depending on, your specific business and what you're trying to accomplish. Because I can tell you, health coverage is tough, man. It's a tough thing for a business owner to grasp to begin with. It constantly changes, and it ain't cheap. Everybody knows it ain't cheap. And what does it go against? Directly against profit. I mean, health insurance comes right off the top of things. And of course, smart businesses budget it in and all those sorts of things. But if you're not used to paying it, it's hard to take that initial leap. I can tell you that Gallagher and Sean Aucoin will make it as painless as possible. And you're a sharp cat when it comes to health insurance. You've been doing it more than a few days.
One of the other things that people don't know is that for a small group, let's say you got 20 employees, and it's your company, and you have you and 2 managers. You don't have to do a plan for the whole company.
Yeah.
You can do a 3-man group and do what's called a management carve out.
Yeah.
Until your company grows enough and has enough resources to be able to provide benefits to everybody. So there's ways of helping everyone.
Well, there you go. And that's something I did not know that you just mentioned it. So I'm sure there's a lot of employers out there like that he'd love to give you information.
Sure.
From humble beginnings in 1989, Big Mike's has long been a place for friends and family to gather for lunch, dinner, and drinks. Big Mike, Jocelyn, and their friendly staff invite you to come in and relax in one of their spacious dining areas, or watch a game on one of the big screen TVs. Big Mike's is a place to meet old friends or make new ones. Big Mike's offers daily and nightly specials, and they specialize in serving up delicious and fresh menu items. Big Mike's offers a catering menu for large groups and has private party rooms for up to 100 guests. Whether you're planning a quick lunch or a large family dinner, or just a night out with friends, Big Mike welcomes you to experience a great time. And don't forget to grab some t-shirts, caps, or koozies in the gift shop. Oh, or a bottle of Big Mike's Honey Dijon. It's delicious. Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill. We're kind of a big deal.
Anybody out there that's listening, and our local LP businesses that maybe you're just struggling to get people to commit to your company, as great as it is, because you're not offering health insurance coverage. It doesn't cost a thing to meet with Sean and just see your options. If it don't work, it don't work. If the math doesn't work, it just doesn't work. But it's low pressure. He's not going to go out there and try to pressure you into buying something you don't need or you don't want.
I'm not here to sell you anything. My job is to educate you, and that's it.
That's right. All he wants to do is give you the information and let you make your decision based off of that. So our awesome producer, Casey McMurray, she came up with some great questions to ask just personally about you, because that's important too. You want to get to know your health insurance guy, right? So I found I got a chuckle out of several of these I found interesting. So you listed your hobbies as working out, family time, and fishing. All three of those sound good to you?
Yeah, they're great. As a matter of fact, I'm going to spend some time with my family this weekend with my brother.
Yeah.
I'm going hunting this weekend.
Fantastic. Yeah, hog hunting, ain't it? Or are you going hog or deer? Or
we're going deer, but if they're not out, shoo.
Now, how often do you work out? You're a pretty built guy, Sean.
I work out 5 days a week.
5 days a week.
Yeah, just awesome. Because it helps me relieve stress, and I like to stay in shape.
Fantastic. And you
keep
love
my health insurance down.
Yeah, keep your head. That's right. Gallagher ain't got no worries. So you listed, here's some things we got in common, brother. You listed your favorite vehicle as a military Humvee, which I call the AM General from back in the day, and mine as well. And as a matter of fact, fun fact, I have always said when my kids are raised, that is the I am buying what I want item.
I'll tell you what.
And I'm going out and I'm getting a military Humvee, not an H2, not an H3. I want a AM General military Humvee.
When I joined,
minus the gun turrets.
Oh no, you got to have the turret. You just can't put the 50 cal up there.
That's right.
So when I got in the military, I had several different options of what I could be. And one was you want to be working with wood, and I was like, I don't want to be a carpenter. I'm already versed in that. And they were like, what about an electrician? And I was like, I hate that.
Yeah.
And he said, well, what about a mechanic? And I said, well, I don't really know anything about that. And I said, well, can I drive the Humvee? He said, oh, you can drive it, all right. I was like, sign me up.
Yeah, I'm in. Say no more. That's awesome. Yeah, I love. It's just something about that vehicle. It just screams tough.
Oh, man, it's just a blast.
Love it. Favorite color? This is interesting. White.
Yeah.
Never, I don't know if I've ever met somebody with that as a favorite color. Interesting.
I don't know. It looks good on vehicles.
Yeah, it really does. So now is the time, more than ever, to support local business. Elisa Verrett Interiors and Custom Workroom is working hard to use made in the USA products for all their clients' window coverings. Schedule your appointment today for a consultation on Roman shades, drapes, shutters, outdoor sunshades, and even woven woods. Need a virtual appointment? No problem. Call Elisa at area code 225-955-1135. Elisa Verrett Interiors and Custom Workroom, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. Favorite beverage? Same here, root beer.
Oh man, you can't go wrong with root beer. And the good thing about root beer is, even if it's diet root beer, it's still good.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And look, man, a root beer float.
Oh,
Put a little ice cream in there. Yum. Sounds good already. All right, favorite food? Steak.
Love it.
Yeah.
Meat
steak.
man, carnivore.
Yeah. All the way.
Long.
Look, protein city in a steak.
I'm telling you.
Yes, indeed. That's a guilt-free food, too. I mean, you working out, you eat a steak, no carbs, you got tons of protein, and it's filling. Yeah, steaks are hard to beat, man.
Wow, they're awesome.
I would have to say, for me, it'd be steak or pizza. I like pizza, too.
I love pizza.
Pizza's horrible for you, but I love
it. Now they have cauliflower pizza.
Well, there you go. Yeah. I'll have to try that. I don't know if I've ever tried a cauliflower pizza.
Go to Lit.
I'll do it. I'll have to try that. So, Sean, how can folks contact you if they want more information on an insurance quote, if they want you to come by and visit, you got some of these small to medium-sized businesses around here that are interested in talking to you. What do they need to do?
The best thing for you to do is reach out to me on my cell phone at 225-907-3465.
There you go.
You can call me. You can send me a text message. It's best if you text me first and say, hey, this is Jim Chapman. Can you give me a call? I would like to discuss benefits. And I'll give you a call because, I might be at Jim's doing a podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Perfect. And we'll get, so keep that in mind. And what I'm going to do is in the comments of this video, I'm going to link Gallagher's website. Yes. And I'm also going to link, I'll also link that phone number in there so that they don't have to pause and, rewind this video.
You can put my email address in there as well.
Yeah, I'll do that. And go ahead and say that too for those that may be listening.
It's my name. It's Sean, SEAN _Aucoin, AUCOIN @AJG.com.
There you go. So reach out to them. I can't encourage businesses enough on the importance of having some sort of health plan, especially with talent. The talented guys, the guys that you want to get and you never want to leave, they're going to need it at some point. When they're 19, 20, I can remember, Sean, when I was 22, 21, 22, probably 23 even, I could care less about health insurance. I didn't have health problems. Yeah, bulletproof. You got a 401k, who cares? 10 years seemed like an eternity. I'm never going to be somewhere 10 years. So they didn't appeal to me then. But I'll tell you what, the second you have a kid, guess what? You're looking for a company with health coverage.
Oh, yeah.
So it's important that you at least from a small business standpoint, you get in touch with Sean and you at least see what your options are.
And it's important that you understand it.
Yes.
If what you have is the best there is, and I cannot provide you because you have what is best for you, it's important for me that you understand what you have. So
yes.
I would like to. I'm always here to answer any questions that you have, or if someone tells you something that doesn't sound quite right, or you don't believe that, or what have you, call me up and I'll be glad to answer your questions.
There you go. So like I mentioned, I'll link all that in the comments, so look for it there. I do want to thank Casey McMurray for her assistance in everything we do. She's invaluable. My guest for today, Sean Aucoin of Arthur J. Gallagher Insurance, and all you viewers and listeners for your support. Please follow Local Leaders, the podcast, on social media, share the post, and spread the word. Thank you to all my local business sponsors. You guys rock and roll, and I love you, and I can't appreciate it enough. Premier Credit, Trisha Johnston Realtor, BJ Pawn, SR Enterprise Painting, Tiffany Seacard of Home Key Mortgage, Buddy's Barbecue, Black Sheep Creative, Yachts Plumbing, iTrade Exchange, Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill, Elisa Ferret Interiors and Custom Workroom, and Sporting Center. I appreciate all you folks. If you would like to sponsor Local Leaders of the podcast or appear on the show, reach out to Casey McMurray via email at casey@localleadersthepodcast.com. Until next week, I am Jim Chapman reminding you, love your community, support local business, and keep leading. Thank you. Stephanie Berthelot and the crew at SR Enterprise can handle it all, from sheetrock to texture to paint. Give Stephanie a call at 504-432-9284. SR Enterprise, where they spread the paint and you spread the word. Dane Arnold with iTrade Exchange has been enabling small business in the Livingston Parish area to save cash through his network of over 300 participating Livingston Parish businesses. Saving cash by trading services with other exchange members is what iTrade Exchange is all about. For more information, contact Dane Arnold at 225-205-3640 or visit iTradeExchange.biz. Black Sheep Creative understands the importance of digital marketing and your return on your investment. It's their aim to provide professional web and graphic design services at a price point that smaller businesses and startups can afford. Get in touch with them on the web at blacksheepcreative.com.